Okay, are you ready for this crunch? People hate us eating on camera, but this could not be avoided. That is so good and crispy. And obviously that chicken is still unbelievably juicy.
This recipe is seriously so simple. It is extremely budget friendly, and it's one of my favorite side dishes, or honestly could be a meal all on its own. And you know, I use a lot of seasonings sometimes, and maybe people on the internet give me grief for that's not 100% carnivore. There is no question that this video and this recipe is 100% strict carnivore, because the only thing we are gonna use is bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs, salt, and we're gonna cook it in a little bit of tallow. And best of all, you don't need any fancy grills or even an air fryer for this. We're gonna do it on a cast iron skillet and in your oven. This video is sponsored by Element. Element is not only a part of my everyday morning routine, but it's also an important part of just keeping me hydrated and feeling my best. Without proper electrolyte balance, I tend to get muscle cramps, just have low energy, or I just find myself constantly thirsty and it really can't be quenched. But when I'm drinking that 1 pack of unflavored electrolytes every morning, I just find that I'm so much more satisfied and hydrated. You guys already know everybody in my family is a big fan of Element, and we love the citrus and the grapefruit flavors in addition to the unflavored. If you want to try a free sample pack of Element, you could check out all 8 flavors and see which one you like best. They have a deal for all my subscribers where you can go to drinkelement.com/LauraSpath and get this free sample pack with any purchase. Thanks to Element for sponsoring this video. The first thing we are gonna do is preheat the oven to 400 degrees so that can be warming up while we prep the chicken. Look, I love a boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and we use those a lot because we just throw them on the grill. But there is something about crispy chicken skin that I cannot get enough of. But if we remove the bone, it's actually going to cook a lot more evenly, and it just allows us to get that skin even crispier without having to worry about cooking around the bone. So I am going to debone these and leave the skin on, and the whole point of this recipe is getting that perfectly crispy skin with juicy chicken. You can use a proper boning knife. It's probably what you should use. I just like using smaller knives. But what we're gonna do is cut a little slit right alongside of the bone. And then we are gonna go underneath and pull up and just detach this bone from the chicken. There we go, look at that. Nice and clean. Now you could slice the skin along here and save this as an extra separate chicken skin chip, but I honestly just want it to shrivel up and give me this nice little crispy piece on the side, so we're gonna leave it there. And we'll just set this one off to the side and focus on number 2. And look at the difference. I have so much uneven surface here before I debone it. And once I get this bone off, look at how nice and flat that chicken is, which is really gonna help prevent me from overcooking one of it while the other one's undercooked. And I'll just be able to get full contact of that skin on the hot surface. I like to just flip that over. I know proper butchers might say that this is not quite clean enough, but we did it, y'all. That is what matters. There we go, gorgeous. And do not worry, none of the bones and scraps are gonna go to waste. I'm just gonna save them. I could throw them in the freezer and wait till I have a few more, but they are gonna make a perfect chicken broth or a chicken stock. Now that we have everything deboned and it's ready to go, I'm just gonna season it with some salt. We're gonna keep it really clean and use salt only. The chicken skin is gonna have so much flavor, it's really all we need. But also be aware that when you're using a cast iron skillet and really high heat, seasonings like garlic or pepper can burn, and it's just gonna add a really bitter, burnt taste to everything. So anytime you're using cast iron, I just like to keep it really clean and simple. And as always, make sure your salt doesn't have dextrose in it and you're using a really high quality salt. So check the ingredients, even on your salt. I'm heating my cast iron skillet to like a medium, slightly medium high heat. Not too high because we don't want to burn our chicken skins before the chicken itself is cooked. And then once it's getting hot, I'm gonna put about a tablespoon of tallow in the bottom, just enough to coat everything so the chicken doesn't stick. And when I start seeing this shimmer from the tallow and a little bit of smoke, then I know it's hot enough for the chicken. We are using beef tallow because of the high smoke point and it's a clean animal fat. You also could use something like bacon grease, but just be aware that something like butter is just gonna burn again very quickly because it doesn't have a high smoke point. So stick with something that is gonna hold up a little better, like beef fat or pork fat. And this recipe overall is about patience. It takes a few minutes to heat your skillet up properly. It's gonna take a few minutes without touching it to get nice crispy skin. So we just gotta be patient on this one. We see a tiny bit of smoke coming up and that tallow is starting to shimmer. So it is time for our chicken to go in. I've added my apron, and always make sure you are laying this chicken away from you so we're not splattering ourselves. And now we are going to not touch it at all for about 10 to 12 minutes. I'll let you start peeking after about 8 minutes. Depending on your stove and your setup, I don't like a lot of splatter, so I'm gonna put my splatter guard fry wall on here just to keep from making a mess in my kitchen, but don't touch it for like 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, it has been 10 minutes. Okay, hang on. It's too hot, it's too heavy, too heavy. We're gonna, okay. It was too loud to talk. It has been 10 minutes. I took off my fry wall, obviously, and it goes right into the oven at a preheated 400 degrees without flipping it over. We're still cooking it skin side down for another 10 minutes. Okay, instead of turning the stove off, I turned the oven off. Chris to the rescue, otherwise we would have had a disaster. This is the beauty of trying to film at the same time. But even though this is gonna be about 25 minutes total, after it cooks in the oven, skin side down for 10 minutes, we're gonna flip it over and give it another 5 minutes just to make sure the chicken is cooked all the way through. So we got 25 minutes plus about 5 minutes of prep leading up to it. I could do other things. If this was a side dish to some beef or I was making something else or even making other sides, you got like 3 times you really got to interact with it. So as long as you're in the kitchen and keeping an eye on splatter and stuff, you really can be doing lots of other things while this is cooking. We are just gonna check the temperature, make sure this chicken is cooked all the way through. And I am looking for an internal temperature of 165 since this is dark meat chicken. I'm gonna pull this chicken out and let it cool on a rack. That way it doesn't get overcooked from sitting on that heat source. And when it cools a little bit, this chicken is gonna get even crispier, but you already can tell it's amazing. We're gonna put that microphone down in there so you can hear this crunch. Ready? You can replicate a lot of things in the air fryer, and you even can make good chicken thighs with the skin on, whole in the air fryer, but this crunch is like, you can't replicate that without the cast iron.
Cast iron for the win. You want the good one?
No, go ahead. Cheers. So good. Let me know your favorite way to try chicken thighs, chicken skins especially, or if you give this recipe a try, let us know. Thanks for watching, guys.